bishops who are here today, the Minister of Education and other ministers who are here, honorable members of Parliament, the daughters of Mary and Joseph, the sisters, the old girls of Mary Hill High School, and the present students, and all people who are here today. I remember three things about Mary Hill. This is because it started when I was there. It started in 1961, and I don't know why you are celebrating in 2012. I think you are a bit offside or something like that. Muhondezi, Okondeza. But when it started, I was there. I was in Senior 1 at Ntare School. And these girls were there when I was watching them. Now, the three people I remember about Mary Hill, there was a lady called Miss Drake. I only thought that she was the head mistress. But today I was told that there was another one who was head mistress. But the one in my mind is Miss Drake. I don't know what she was doing. But even today when I think of Mary Hill High School, I remember Miss Drake. Then there was Father Nelson. What was Father Nelson doing? Was he a teacher or what? I know he was a chaplain for the students at Ntare, but he was coming out of Nyamtanga, and I think out of Mary Hill High School. Then there was Father Kakuli. So you see, I know all these people before they became big people. I know. That's the first memory of Mary Hill High School. The second one is what one of the speakers said. It was one of the schools that made interdenominational admissions. That one I remember very well. I think it was the headmistress who said that. That one I remember very well. And I salute the pioneers for that. Well, this was a correct vision. You could not put people of one denomination in laboratory conditions, and you don't put them out in the field to see what's happening in the field. It would not have been good training. So I salute the pioneers. They had a very correct vision. And the headmistress said that this was a vision of Bishop Auger. That was his correct pronunciation, is it not? Don't call that Bishop Augues. It's not Augues. Because I was there, you see, that's why this is the value of having old men around. The bishop before Auger was called Lacochier. Now, the proper pronunciation of that bishop is Auger. It is written Augues, but it's Auger. So this was a very good vision on his part. Now, the third thing I remember about Maryhill High School is that, of course, they always blessed me when I was fighting. Because all the attacks I carried out on Barra, I first passed here. So if you see me arrive, it must be because of the blessing of the sisters here. And in 1972, I passed here to attack Barra. 1979, I passed here. 1985, I passed here. So this is my route to follow. And on one occasion, I branched to call Bishop Kakubi. And he had heroically stayed at station. He did not run away from his station. So I remember Maryhill very, very much. But what is very interesting is what I said in my book, Sowing the Mustard Seed. A small seed germinating into a very big tree. That's what Maryhill High School has done. Well, I remember those girls, these 25 we were talking about. There were very few when I used to see them. But now you're here. And I wish if somebody had told us the total alumni of this week, that somebody got to give us the figure. The other day, I was in Mali. They were celebrating 100 years. And they were saying that 16,000 students had gone through Mali. So how many students have gone through? You need that figure. Through Maryhill High School. Now what I told my people was that if the 16,000 Mali graduates or their families, because many of them are dead, if each one contributed 1 million shillings, they will build Mali 5 times over. So now the alumni, once we know the numbers, since you are all rich people, rich women, from the way you look, how many women have gone through here? And what if each family contributed just 1 million, 1 million, 1 million, 1 million? One-time contribution, you don't have to do it repeatedly, just once. What will be the impact? So this is how we should look at the alumni. The alumni of institutions, these are educated people, they are not peasants. And really you can set ambitious targets. Because like not married, 16,000. If the ones who are living, all the children of the ones who are there, God education normally goes through generations. Once I'm educated, my children are also likely to be educated. So I think the alumni can actually do more for these institutions. In the case of Namari, that would be 16 billion shillings. And here we are talking of some 1-2 billion. So the alumni can do a lot of work. The government will do its work, but I think the alumni can also do more work. Because these are educated people, they are not peasants. If they were peasants, I would make a different speech. Now, 2 points. Somebody touched on it. We are really talking about 2 phases or 3 phases of education in Uganda. In the other part of the colonial time, the training was to produce clerks for the colonial system, interpreters for the colonial administrators, and other auxiliaries for the colonial system. That Mbara High School, where we are going to celebrate 100 years of Mbara High School in the next few days, its first work was to train 30 officials for the colonial system. Clerks, translators, veterinary assistants, that type of level. Just before independence and soon after independence, and those who are old enough to remember, the slogan was Africanization. Africanization of the civil service. That's what they meant. Instead of having Europeans and Indians in the civil service, we are now going to have Africans. In other words, Africanize the administration. That one was done and achieved. Even education has been Africanized. I remember when I was at Ntare, that time in 1961, there were only 2 African teachers out of a teaching staff of about 30 or something like that. This was John Ushara and Tuleromo. Yes, there were 2 people there. Now, civil service has been Africanized. The teaching service has been Africanized. Some of the professions have been Africanized. The legal profession. So, those areas are now saturated. They are full of people. And the universities are producing more of those people. Now, we are now in the 3rd phase. These institutions must train for completely different fields. We shouldn't continue to train for fields which are already saturated. Saturated means field. We used to have an experiment in chemistry where you dissolve salt, until the water can absorb no more salt. And they were calling that saturation point. Now, in the case of Uganda, public service has long passed saturation point. So therefore, civil service is not something you should train for, because there are too many people there. The ones who are there are not likely to die quickly, because life expectancy has also increased. Therefore, we must train for completely new fields. Fields which are not easy to saturate. And I'm glad the Minister of Education has now finally, our group have finally now accepted what I told you many years ago about career guidance. The children must get proper career guidance. It's not good for the parents to spend so much effort, and for the government to spend so much effort training somebody who will fail to get a job when she qualifies. They are now talking of career guidance. There is outcry for employment. However, this outcry is sort of not clear Yes, the administrative jobs are not there, the positions are not there, they are all filled. However, many of the professional and technical jobs are vacant. Medicine, it will take us very many years to fill the medical jobs. Our population is now 34 million. If you take the population-doctor ratio of 500 people for every one doctor, that means we would need 17,000 doctors. But in Uganda today, we only have maybe 2,000. So you can see there is no possibility of filling these doctor jobs in the short run. And even if the doctor jobs in Uganda were to be filled, the hunger for doctors outside Uganda is very high. The nursing jobs are very much in demand in Uganda and abroad. Engineers, technicians, science teachers, Bachelor of Science education. Those are the fields where we should direct our children. Agriculture, although the government jobs may be filled, but if you train as an agriculturist, you can go and start your own farm. You don't have to work for anybody else. Also training for self-employment. That's why this department of entrepreneurship is very important. Entrepreneurship means you acquire spectacles to see opportunities where they are. There are many opportunities in Uganda, but people have no spectacles to see them. So therefore, it should be clear that in this phase where we are, the educational targets must change completely. And I'm glad the minister is now talking of, she didn't talk much about it, but I know they have embarked on it. They call it Skilling Uganda. And I can see that even in schools there is some efforts to start, to give skills. Like when I was visiting the building behind here, how to make cakes, how to do this, how to do that. Those are the skills which education must give. That's what the main point I wanted to mention here. It's not enough when we're having these jubilees to go on celebrating the past, because the past was different. The present is different, and the future is different. We must prepare for the future, and even for the present. Technical skills, entrepreneurial skills. Incidentally, I wish to thank the churches, the Catholic Church and the Church of Uganda, because when Father Nelson was coming to Ntare, I used to hear them saying prayers in Latin. Sanctum, sanctum, what? I couldn't follow anything what they were saying. However, by the time I came from Tanzania, from fighting Amin, I found Akachenji in the church. You know, African music. I was very, very happy. Because when Father Nelson was coming to that chapel there, Ukurembe, you know Latin songs out there. But when we introduced a change in the church, I felt the umuhimu. So that was a reform by the church. The reform to pray in local languages, pray in English, and sing African songs. My mother was in local and she was against African songs, that they were satanic. But by the time I came back from Tanzania, she couldn't do anything about it. We were singing African songs in the church. So, some of those reforms that happened in the church must happen in the educational system. We must deal with the present. The present is technology, it is skills, it is entrepreneurship. Yes, the letters are there, literature and so on. Those are important. If you're the son of a rich person or a daughter of a rich person, and you don't have to look for a job, you can study Swaswa. There's a course called Swaswa. You know what it is? And you just study it for interest. When you qualify, you just go and you run your father's property. But if you are a daughter of a poor person and you are looking for a job, please, technology, skills, and entrepreneurship, these are a must. The government will continue expanding infrastructure of schools. The minister told you here what we are going to do to this school here. We are going to put in 2.7 billion shillings to expand the infrastructure. And by the way, that is Endozo. With more of our money, especially from oil, we are going to do much more for the education institution. I like to salute the daughters of Mary and Joseph for the great work they did. They made a very big contribution to this area, and to Uganda, I thank them very much. I'd like to salute the people of Lucio, who is here, His Excellency, for coming to be with us. Now, finally, I'll contribute 80 million shillings to the library. Is it the library or what? I brought 30 million because I didn't know what was required. I brought 30 million, but I can't come. When I heard what you were talking about, the President of Uganda cannot just come only with 30 million. So I brought 30 million, which I will give to the headmistress. The 50 will come. I thank you very much.